Everyone could find a seat, take your seat. Almost time to get started here. You got notaries?
All right. Sorry, but we got to go to the conversation.
Thank you, Sheriff. Ms. Harsh, would you have our invocation, please? And then we'll follow that with the pledge to the flag by Commissioner Nolan.
Yes, please bow your heads. Lord, thank you for bringing us here safely tonight. Please give us guidance as we make decisions for the people of our county. Lord, give us patience so that we might work together in unity. May all that we do be pleasing in your sight. Through Christ's name I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we'd certainly like to welcome everyone out to our regular session of our commission meeting tonight. It's like we have a good crowd in the gallery. Appreciate everyone taking time to be here tonight. We'd first do our roll call electronically. If you would, please push the button that you're here or not. Okay, let's see. I believe everyone is logged in that's here. We have 18 present, 2 absent. Mr. Davis was unable to be here tonight. He let me know that in advance, and Mr. Gully also was not going to be able to be here tonight, and just wanted you to know that he did let me know that in advance. Next agenda item is the approval of the minutes from the April 25th, 2022 commission meeting. They have been distributed. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions to those minutes? Any corrections? Hearing none. Mr. Walsh? Have a motion to approve the minutes as presented by Mr. Walsh, a second by Mr. Ford. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? They are approved. Just a few announcements. We do have a candidate forum scheduled at Grace Baptist Church. The mayoral candidates will speak and be able to answer questions on June 16th at 6 o'clock. And commission members that would like to be there and have the same opportunity will be at 7 o'clock. That's at June 16th at Grace Baptist Church. They're sponsoring this event. We thank them for giving all the candidates an opportunity to speak at that. Also, we do, I believe, have a representative from Hall Strategies here to give us an update on the natural gas pipeline. Yes, sir. I'll give you about 30 seconds to make this, well, maybe 3 minutes.
Appreciate that. So it's all right. All right. Yep, I have some folders here. Just 1 second to. Okay, thank you. My name is Art Haskins. I'm the manager of stakeholder engagement for Enbridge. We operate the East Tennessee natural gas pipeline system through this area, as well as the Texas Eastern Transmission System. So both of the larger pipelines that go around the city. Our proposal that's been on the books to support the TVA's one of TVA's replacements for the Kingston plant, if they go natural gas, would be to build a pipeline from just south of Hartsville here all the way over to Kingston along our existing East Tennessee system. We would also, if we do that, would need to build a compressor station in this area. And our plan is also to put solar power, about 80 acres of solar to power about half the power needed for that compressor station during the daytime operations. So just as a quick update for everybody that had this information from before, and for those of you that are not aware of this, we do have public meetings coming up. Our pipeline project is moving into our FERC, Federal Energy Regulatory stage. We've pre-filed with them. We have a record on the FERC now, and we are setting public open house meetings. The first one will be June 20th here in Hartsville at the First Baptist Church from 6 to 8. So this is an announcement to that effect. We'll be ads in the paper and some posters and whatever other education we can have in this area. And just here to give that quick update, we have done our initial survey work and continue to plan this approximately 125-mile route of pipeline and our compressor station in this area. Open to any questions you guys have, but just trying to keep it short and sweet as it is a little warm in here this evening, and fully understand you guys have regular business to do.
Certainly appreciate you being here with us, giving us that update and furnishing the material for those that may not be familiar with the project. It seems to be progressing pretty much on schedule.
It is on schedule. Recognize the fact that this is a multi-year federal interstate gas, or a multi-year federally regulated interstate gas pipeline project. So as you can see on the back of the project opportunities page, although we started last June, we would not, if everything goes as a plan, we wouldn't start construction until the fall of 2025 because of the regulatory process and all the approvals that are needed in all of this. We really are open and really think it's very important that we do get feedback. We had a landowner meeting here, the community center last November, and then we have the public open house. FERC will hold a scoping session sometime later this fall, and again, another opportunity. And when the draft EIS comes out, there'll be another opportunity for comment. So there's a lot of opportunity for comment on the record and to be interactive with us as the company and with FERC and others as the regulators.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone have a specific question at this time? If not, just contact them and they'll be glad to go over it with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mayor, do you have any announcements?
Not announcements, no, sir.
Commissioners, any of y'all have announcements need to be made tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on in our agenda to approval of our agenda. We do have several things that we're going to have to change, so get your pencils out. We do have an appointment for medical examiner that we'll take up under appointments. We also have a resolution 2022-14-758 to transfer a vehicle from the water department to the animal shelter. That will come under resolutions. We have a budget amendment. I think it was a bit of an increase. Is that correct, Amy, on a cleanup?
Yes, sir.
To the new amount would be $960. So we're just amending that amount. ARPA spending approval. This came through Parks and Rec and Budget and Finance to spend money out of the ARPA funds for the ball field lights and poles to make sure that we we're able to do all the ball fields. So we want to make sure that we have that taken care of today so that project can move forward. And on your budget ordinances, if you look at the second page of your agenda under item D, budget ordinances for fiscal year 2023. This has not made it out of committee yet, so we need to remove this until we can get Budget and Finance Committee recommendations, and Urban Services recommendation is to the tax levy. Proposed to have a Budget and Finance meeting on June 9th. That's a Thursday night, starting at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That gives us a full 2 hours. Hopefully that'll be more than enough time to get this final things that we have to decide put to rest. Then also the Urban Services Council will meet at 8 o'clock or at the conclusion of that meeting to be able to set the tax levy. What all of this is going to mean is that once we have those recommendations, hopefully we will have a special called meeting of the commission for our first reading of the budget. The only thing that will be on that night will be the first reading of the budget, unless something else comes up that we announce with it. And that is to happen on hopefully June 20th at the time we have allotted for our work session. Felt like everybody usually comes to that, plans to be at that, so that would be a good time to supersede the work session with that special call meeting of the commission for the first reading of the budget. If we can get it approved on that night, then we can take it up for the second and third reading the next week at our regular schedule meeting. Mayor, are you in agreement on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Beller, are you in agreement on that?
Yes, sir.
Miss Amy, you think you can have all of our numbers in that amount of time?
Lord, I hope so.
I hope so too. But right now, that's where we're at. We're looking to do, to take that off the budget for tonight, off the agenda for tonight. There's no need for us to discuss any of this because the only thing that was publicized that would be discussed are the appropriations tax levy, and then we're just not prepared to do that at this time. I believe that takes care of our amendments to the agenda. Did anyone have anything else? Ms. Jones?
So will that be at 6 before work session? The time for the special call meeting? Did you say June 20th before work?
7 o'clock, 7 o'clock
Okay.
for the special call meeting.
On,
Budget and Finance is 6 o'clock on the 9th.
okay.
And the call meeting of the commission would be at 7 o'clock on the 20th, which would be the regular time for work session.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll be able to do both, but if we
Gotcha.
don't, we'll forego work session and do just the call meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Harsh,
Move to set the agenda as amended.
have a motion by Mr. Harsh and a second by Ms. Atwood to set the agenda as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, our agenda is set. Come next to citizens' response to the agenda items. If you wish to speak to the commission on any matter that is on our approved agenda, please come in and sign in. If it's not on the agenda, you're not going to speak. If you're here to speak on one of the issues of zoning, if you're one of the petitioners, you do not need to sign in. We will call on you at the proper time if you're needed. Anyone else, just don't be bashful. Come up if you think you want to speak to something. And certainly if we get down to that time when I call on you and you've decided that it's already been covered and you don't need to speak, you can just tell us, thank you, but no thank you.
If there are members that signed in on this side, we need you to come and sign in on that sheet over here, please.
The reason we ask you to sign in is so that we can make sure we don't overlook you when that time comes. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay. Okay, I believe next up on our agenda is Director of Schools, Dr. Satterfield, with his quarterly report for the ending of the first quarter. That would be the January, February, March.
Chairman, I think I've passed out a financial summary to everyone. And I apologize. Mr. Jewell and I meant to do this last meeting, and I think I forgot. And I called him and he said, well, let's do it the next time. So that's the reason behind. What I typically do is the first 2 pages is the financial summary for the third quarter ending in March of 2022. I try to highlight the current in yellow, and then pages 3 and 4 are the prior year. So I just try to always talk to you about where we are as comparison to the same place in time in the previous year. Basically, there's 3 major revenue streams, and that's the first one, 40110, current property tax. And you see that we have collected $1,578,803 and some odd cents. And then last year, that was $1,563,808, which means that our current property tax collection is up right at $16,000 more than it was at this time last year. If you look at the local option sales tax, you can see that currently that has been $674,020. Last year on page 3, you can see I wrote that in there with a blue pen. Last year that was $602,333, which is up $71,687. The BEP, don't be alarmed. Last year it was $6,638,556. This year at the same time was $6,385,000, which is down $253,356. BEP will come. Don't worry about that. That's just a timing mechanism there. And then if you turn over to the second page, you can see that our expenditures at this time is $8,244,810. This time last year it was $7,937,455, and our expenditures are up about 307. However, if you look at expenditures to revenues at this point in time, then we are running on track and doing a good job. So hopefully, I think we'll have a good closeout in June. Any questions?
It just had graduation. Looked like it was a nice night for it and was well attended. How many students did we graduate this year?
We graduated 82 Friday night, and we had probably the largest crowd we've ever had at graduation. We know that where we redid the stadium on the home side seats 333. And there was just one small section. There's the baseball field. We didn't have people in. So we thought we had exceeded 3,000 people in attendance. And it was a beautiful night. And it was great. I was talking to Commissioner Taylor a few minutes ago. The only negative comment that we received, and it was rightfully so, was our public address system. Some people had a hard time hearing. So that's something we want to look to try to fix, try to address as soon as we can. So Mr. Taylor says he can provide me technical support in that area.
I'm sure he can. Any questions, Dr. Satterfield? Okay. I will, while we're on the subject of schools, briefly, I meant to do this during the announcements, but really quickly, Commissioner Bowles will be leaving us now that he has graduated last week, and last week. So we would certainly like to thank you for the time and the attention you've given the commission in the last year or two, and certainly will wish you the best of luck as you go forward in your endeavors. And if there's any way any of us, I think, could ever help you, we would certainly want to do that. So let's give Ethan a round of applause. You don't have to bow unless you want to. Would you like to say anything? You could say goodbye.
I just want to thank y'all for keeping me here and educating me on everything I've learned, because I've learned quite a bit and I didn't expect to learn as much as I did. And there's a lot that you don't realize happens and goes on in the community when you're in your youth.
We certainly appreciate you being with us. You've been very diligent to be here at every meeting and a lot of the commission meetings, and we certainly wish you well into the future. I'm sure this young man has a very bright future. Okay, we'll move on to County Mayor's report. Mayor Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First I'm going to talk about is the intersection improvement at Mcmurray Boulevard and Broadway. So everybody's seen it. That is part of the TDOT improving that intersection. It will add turning lanes in all four directions along with new traffic control lights. So hopefully that'll help with some of the traffic issues we've been experiencing. That project is currently scheduled to be completed on February 28th, 2022. However, it could be extended just due to setbacks due to weather or whatnot, but it's currently scheduled for that date. 23. You're correct. Oh, so it would have been completed by now. Thank you. Yeah, February 28th, 2023. Second item is the home grant we received in 2018. That was to help people with renovations or reconstructions of their home. We have recently completed that. Actually, I signed the last check earlier today. I believe we had about 3 homes that were completely reconstructed and 2 to 3 that were renovated. And that project cost us around $500,000. So we have closed out that grant. The pool did open this past Saturday. So if anyone's wanting to go to the pool, it is currently open. If you have any questions, you can call the Public Works Department and about that, but we are open. I don't know, that's something I was certainly glad to see. And I know the community over 2 years doing the COVID and last year not having enough staff was really anxious to get that open. So we were able to do that. And I thank Mr. Slee and his staff for all their work getting that opened up. I know that was a very big focus of theirs. He's very determined. I know I asked him one time if we're going to have enough staff. He said, we're opening. Well, no matter what, we're opening. So I thank him and his staff. They work very hard on that. We conducted interviews for the Veteran Service Officer position last Friday. We had 2 candidates that were qualified for the position. We'll follow up with their references and then make a decision hopefully on that before the week's out, and then speak to the number 1 candidate, see if they're willing to accept the position and work with them on that. But currently we hope to have that position filled soon, and then they will start training with Rebecca Gallion, who is going to be a mentor or under the state Veterans Association or Veteran Service has a program where they have mentors in certain areas, and she'll be working as a mentor for whoever comes on as our VSO. And then if we get them in place, they should be going to a 40-hour training somewhere around the 3rd week of July that is required. And then they'll do trainings after that. So looking forward to getting that filled. And again, I just want to reiterate what Mr. Jewell said and Dr. Satterfield said, and congratulate all the graduating seniors this year. I know it's a big step in time. I saw a lot of crying mamas and daddies there, and I know this is a big transition in not only students' lives, but their families' lives. And I wish them all the best of luck as they go forward. I think they're going to do a lot of great things for not just Trousdale County, but Tennessee and our nation as a whole. So again, congratulations and good luck to all of them. And that completes my report, and I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Commissioners, any questions for the mayor? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Move into committee reports. Budget and Finance. We have published the minutes for the May 2nd, 3rd, and 5th budget meetings. I can go over them briefly, what was discussed and talked about. On May 2nd, we went over debt service, special funds, payrolls, had discussions on the payroll. It was decided at that meeting to take the 2.5% raise out with what projections we were looking at going forward. And so we subsequently came through with those changes reflecting that amount. On May 3rd, we went over the fire department, emergency services, rescue and EMA budgets, and the 118 ambulance. Then also we got into public works, I believe, that night, parks and waste collection. Then we covered the sheriff's department budgets, courtroom security, sheriff patrol, drug enforcement, jail workhouse, and the sheriff patrol. On Thursday, May 5th, we covered most of the county general departments, elected officials departments, things of that nature. We reviewed the schools budget on the 101 in 111 part of the budget. And then I believe we don't have the minutes available for all of these. A lot of these have been revisited. We revisited some tonight. We've run out of time. That's why we've called for a special call meeting. Typically, when we go through all the departments, we will put together, I guess you'd say, a final budget figure based on what came out of committee for the whole commission to look at, since the Budget and Finance Committee has not concluded that that led to Urban Services not being able to set their urban levy. So we are going to have a special call meeting of Budget and Finance, which was previously announced. And once we get through with that, then we'll have a special call meeting for our first reading before the commission. So without getting into all the details of it, if you have specific questions, go back and either review the tapes or look at the minutes as soon as we can get them all put together. Not trying to evade anything, not trying to hide anything, just don't have that. We could be here for another hour just trying to go through those minutes. So nothing there is any more than a recommendation, and it certainly will be taken up at a later date. So that's where we're at with budget and finance at this point. Is there any questions specific to that, commissioners? Okay. Seeing none. Next, Parks and Rec, Mr. Gregory, I believe you met the 28th and the 16th.
Yes, we did meet April the 28th, 6 o'clock. First item of business was approve the minutes from the March 3rd meeting. The next thing we did, we had Scott Rivers. He was here from representing, well, he's over the Trails County Youth Football. He's very interested in trying to do he talked to us about putting a multi-purpose field sort of behind the T-ball field down below the Trey Park there. He's got some ideas that he'd like to, with a multi-purpose field, so they could do the youth football over there, maybe get youth soccer down here eventually and stuff of that nature. He'd been getting some prices together and he's still working on it, and he's gonna try to get back with us in the next couple of months and see where we go from there on that. More or less, old business was, we brought up the ballpark lights follow up. The mayor said that they had been ordered. It would take 14 to 16 weeks for delivery. And that was for everything, lights and poles. Then Cliff gave us an update on the pool. And like I said, the mayor mentioned a while ago, the pool did open down there this week. And the pictures I saw looked like we had a good crowd. And I do like to thank Cliff and his crew for getting it open this year. And I'd like to thank the Parks and Rec Committee. They've worked very hard on this too, past year or two, trying to, make sure we do try to get the pool back open. He gives us an update on the pool and everything. He had enough lifeguards. If you want to know the rates or the pool passes, the pool parties, the prices, you can go to that Hartsville Trails County Government Parks and Recreation page, and it's got all that on it, I think. Give you all the prices and stuff on it. And that was about it on that night.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Law enforcement met May 17th.
On Parks and Rec.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you'd covered.
I wasn't here
back
that
up.
night, but y'all want to give an update? Mr. Gully's not here. Beverly sort of gave us an update on it. She was I was not there that night.
Ms. Atwood.
Basically, we just went over the discussion over the lights and stuff at the park. Cliff said, of course, he was going to be ready to be open. Cliff bought us a actual light in to let us see. They're going to be a more directional light, so it's not just a glare up in the sky. It'll be directional down on the players. So he's working on some prices on adding the T-ball field because for some reason it was omitted out of there, but we're still working on that. We also discussed after the meeting with TDAC for the park grant, and I believe it's in our agenda tonight to add that additional amount of funding to go ahead and do the whole park, and to update that, it'll be a 50-50 grant. And that's about it on that night.
Thank you. Any questions on Park and Rec? Seeing none. Law enforcement, Mr. Davis is not here. Mr. Walsh, I believe you're vice chair of law enforcement. Can you?
Never got the minutes, so I don't know.
Brevilous, okay. Okay, we'll take that one up next month. Economic Development, May 17th, Mr. Harsh.
Yes, we met on May 17th. We passed the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Then our first discussion item was the ECD Pivot and Recover Grant to aid and relieve local small businesses and entrepreneurs impacted by the pandemic. Motion was made and passed to support the mayor in application for the grant, but we want to revisit the distribution plan should we be awarded the grant. The next item we discussed was retail recruitment update, and it looked like that was going well. And then we went into the Tennessee Downtown Program, and mayor told us that that was in its conclusion phase. And we adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harsh. Any questions on that committee? See none. Veteran Services, May 19th, Mr. Walsh.
The meeting was canceled. The mayor, as he spoke, that he's did interviews Friday. Once he gets the candidate and selection, we'll have another meeting to be determined to meet that new veteran service officer. And at that time, the committee's job has been done, and we'll probably disperse the committee and end it.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, is that you've had interviews? They going well?
Yes, sir. We had two good candidates. We have one that has some attributes that's places them a little bit better with background dealing with databases, and that's going to be heavily involved in doing this position. So I look forward to speaking to him, seeing if he's willing to accept the position, and hopefully, like I said, have that in place or by the end of this week. So,
Thank you, sir. Urban Services Council were not able to meet tonight, and that, of course, has been rescheduled to 8 o'clock on the 20th. 9th. I'll get it straight. Any other committee meetings that we've overlooked or didn't mention? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into our active business for the night. First is appointments. First appointment is, Mayor, I'll let you speak to this one, please, sir.
this appointment is for the medical examiner. This is the official that will be involved in determining when there's an item that needs, or a resident that needs to be sent for autopsy. That would be not just citizens here, but also possibly related to the prison. The name I'm submitting tonight is Dr. Ray Pinkston. He is currently the medical examiner for Sumner County. He is also the medical director for the Sumner County EMS. He is works at Travisville Medical Center as an emergency physician and independent contractor. He is also on the board of the Sumner County, of Sumner Regional Medical. He's also the medical director for the paramedic program at Volunteer State Community College. And Mr. Beatty has had conversations with Dr. Pinkston. If he wants to come up, I believe he makes this as a recommendation. And there's also another gentleman that works for EMS that is involved in Sumner County's EMS service and has experience with Dr. Pinkston, and I also speak highly of him.
I've worked with Dr. Pinkston when I worked for Sumner County EMS for about 8 or 9 years, and he was the medical examiner at the time, and we continue to be while I'm in this position here. He's always been professional, easy to work with. We haven't ever had any issues that I'm aware of with him fulfilling his duties as medical examiner.
Thank you, Mr. Beatty. Anyone have any questions of the mayor, Mr. Beatty, on this appointment? If not, I'd entertain a motion. Mr. Harsh.
Move to approve the appointment of medical examiner.
Mr. Harsh makes the motion to approve the medical examiner appointment. Ms. Jones makes a second. Okay. We do have a motion and a second to approve this appointment. All in favor? Let's just say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it is done. Next, we'll move into resolutions. First is resolution 2022-12-756. This is the county road list. We do this once a year. We're required to do this by the state. This was sent over from the highway department for us to approve the road list. See any questions on that resolution? Mr. Ford. Mr. Ford makes a motion to approve. Mr. Taylor gets a second. Any discussion or questions on this one? Seeing none, hearing none, all in favor of approving the road list, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that is done. Next is Resolution 2022-13757. This is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract between the state of Tennessee Department of Transportation and Hartsville-Trousdale County. This is commonly referred to as our, is this the litter grant? The litter grant. It's what we typically call it. We do this every year. We don't know exactly how much money it will be, but we have to apply for it. Typically, it's the same amount every year. Hopefully it'll be more, but right now, this is just authorizing the mayor to apply for it at this point in time. Mr. Ford. Mr. Ford makes the motion to approve. Mr. Gregory gets a second. Any questions on this one? Mr. Whitaker, did you want to speak to it?
No, I was trying to make the motion.
I'm sorry, I couldn't see.
No
My screen is gone wonky. What did I do to it? I don't know. Okay, I think that's got everybody on it now. Guess when I was poking at them, I moved it over. Okay. So we do have a motion and a second. Hearing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It does carry. Next is Resolution 2022-14-758. This is to transfer a vehicle from the water department to the animal shelter, or the animal department, I guess you'd say. This is a utility van that they've used for some time. It's a 2013 model. Rather than surplusing it, animal shelter was in need of a vehicle to transport animals, and the water department graciously is giving this vehicle to them with your approval. Ms. Baker.
The motion to approve.
Ms. Baker makes a motion to approve this. Do I have a second? Mr. Burton makes second. Any questions? Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That one is done as well. Was that all our resolution? Yeah. Yes, that's all. Okay, that takes care of our resolutions. We'll move into ordinances. Okay, we have several ordinances for first reading tonight. All of these are rezoning ordinances. And then we have one for a public hearing and a second reading. First one is ordinance 238-2022-08. This is rezoning a parcel of land from R2 to R3 on West Main Street. This is keeping it in a residential designation. It's for residential development. The main difference between R2 and R3 is the type of residences that are allowed and the setbacks. It's just a little higher density. What you have is a lot of the lots in this area are not really large, and this would help in development by giving a little bit more leeway on the setbacks for a building. That's the purpose for this. Ms. Russell, have a motion to approve. Mr. Gregory makes a second. Any questions on this one? Okay, did I have anyone signed in to speak on this one? I don't see anyone. So we're gonna do this by electronic. Okay, if you would, let's do this by electronic vote. Console should be ready. Right. Mr. Johnson, would you like to vote? Thank you, sir. Looks like all votes in. Anyone wish to change their vote? Please record the vote.
18 yes, 0 no.
It is approved. Next is ordinance 239, 2022-09. This is a rezoning request to change a lot on Halltown Road from R2, a combination of R2I1 to R3. On the front part of it, the R2, I believe, I think the whole thing will now go to R3 is my understanding. Is that correct, Rosalie? Yes. Yes. Okay. Rachel?
Just a question, not about this per se, but do we have an idea of how many total different building projects we have coming up? I mean, in the process of development?
I didn't understand your question.
How many different new housing development projects do we currently have? Does anybody have a total of that, or a total of how many homes are being proposed?
On this piece of property?
No, not this one. I'm just talking about in the county wide.
I don't know. It's a moving target. We probably had 3 or 4 this week. So as far as the planned developments, I can't answer that. Rosalie, can you answer that? Please use mic. Thank you.
We have several that are coming before the Planning Commission. Those that have already been approved have come before you guys, and you're already aware of those. The Melrose with the townhomes, the Rolling Meadows. You know, it's very hard to say because they could change at any time as how many homes they're going to be putting on there.
I was curious if there was any general idea of how many proposed homes were.
Whole bunch. Quite a few, probably more than at any time in years past. And we're seeing quite a bit of growth on multi-residential, single family. We're seeing commercial growth as well. But that's the best answer we can give you tonight. I'm sure if you get with Miss Rosalie or Sam, they will be able to give you an exact number, but I hope that answers your question good enough tonight.
Sort of. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this zoning request? Seeing none, is there a motion? Ms. Baker? Ms. Baker makes a motion to approve. Ms. Atwood gets the second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. What? Oh, I'm sorry. We did have someone wishing to speak to this before we go further. And that was Lonnie Ridley. Tanya, I'm sorry. I can't read my writing, much less yours. We'd be glad to let you speak. We'd like to limit your time to 3 minutes if you would stay to that, and I'll try to give you a 1 minute warning.
Okay. Well, my husband and I just purchased the property at 314 Halltown Road, and we found out today that they're talking about putting in apartments, and that's part of the reason for the rezoning. I'd just like to know some more about it, considering they're going to be my neighbor. That's my biggest issue here is there going to be privacy fence, something to prevent, crossover into the property, or what exactly is the project?
Ms. Rosalie, do you think you can answer her question?
Currently, for this rezoning, what they stated was multi-use with an R3 and a subdivision development. There would be some type of buffer. So, but there has not been a site plan or any type of construction plan submitted for this piece of property at this time.
Typically the zoning precludes them doing site development or a site plan being approved by the Planning Commission because there's no need for them. They can't really present it unless it's zoned properly. But this would allow the difference there again. R3 in the city ordinances would allow for multi-residential development. R2 would only allow for individual duplexes, would be the highest number on it. So it would be to allow a larger number of development on it in multi-residential. And a lot of that would be dictated by the size of the lot and the setbacks, and planning would approve that. But in any development of that type, screening and things like that, parking, entrances, traffic flow, all those things are taken up at the time that planning approves those.
And how do I find out when they do it? How do I keep up with when the meetings are for that?
Use the mic. Please use the mic, because we have people listening at home.
I'm just wondering, how do I find out about when those meetings are going to take place and about the planning and the construction and all that? On our website for the Planning Commission, all the agendas and the different items that are coming before the Planning Commission meeting will be listed there. So you can check the website for that. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call the building office and I'll be happy to help. Thank you. You're welcome.
That answer your question? Okay, thank you. Appreciate you coming tonight. Thank you, Ms. Rosalie. Okay, we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, let's record our votes. All votes in.
17 yes, 1 abstain, 0 no.
17 yes, 1 abstention, and 0 no. It is approved. Did you want to speak, Mr. Buckmaster?
Yes, sir. For the record, I abstain because I'm involved in a financial transaction with the registered owner.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that very much. Anytime you abstain, you need to try to abstain for cause. If you just abstain, it's counted basically as a no vote unless you state the cause. Thank you, Mr. Buckmaster. Next is ordinance 240, 2022-10. This is rezoning a portion of thoroughbred estates from A1 to R1. Thought this was covered in the original plat approval, but for some reason it wasn't drawn that way. And this is more or less just to correct the maps. I don't have anyone, I don't believe, signed in to speak on this ordinance. Any questions, commissioners? Mr. Harsh, you're recognized. Motion to approve by Mr. Harsh, second by Mr. Ford. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, let's record on our machine. Did mine take? All votes in. Anyone wish to change their vote, please record the vote.
18 yes, 0 no.
18-0, it does pass on first reading. Next is ordinance 241, 22-11. And this is to amend a partial from C2 to R3. This parcel of land is located on Mcmurray Boulevard on the west side of town. It's indicated as map 19, parcel 005. It's approximately 5.6 acres. This there again is for a planned residential development. Do have some people signed in, I think, to speak to this. I would first entertain a motion from the commission, and then we'll give y'all, or if y'all want to speak first, let's just go ahead and do that. I'm sorry. That'd be better, would it not? Mr. Stalter? Yes, sir. Jason, would you like to speak to this one? There you go. You're good now.
Hello, everybody. My name's Jason. I live at 325, or I live on Sleepy Hollow, backing up to this parcel that you guys are talking about now. Our back door property sits about 60 feet from the property line. Our biggest concern is like the privacy. If like these cottages or these condos go in, if they're multi-story, you know, just the privacy alone, that's a big factor we take into consideration. You know, we don't want people looking into through our windows all night, and we were trying to have, you know, our own privacy, our own time. We got little kids that play out there in the backyard. So our, like the privacy, the security of our home, and then just a lot of concerns, I guess. There's a road that goes from Sleepy Hollow up to the 25 that Mr. Carmen has been, you know, nice enough to let us use, and other people on Sleepy Hollow. So if this development does go in, is there like plans for another road to go in somewhere else? Because like when Sleepy Hollow does flood, or the 141, people do use that road to go up to Mcmurray Boulevard. You know, just kind of a bad thought to see apartments or cottages or condos or townhomes or whatever they may be right outside your kitchen window, you know, 60 feet from your property. So we're just kind of concerned of what's going on with that, what the plans are with all that. Is there gonna be a privacy wall or trees or something like that? Or where can we find information on this?
Like we previously said, to try to answer your question, those type issues will be covered by the Planning Commission on a site plan approval for the property. The property currently is on C2. This is going in a lot of ways backwards to residential. Currently, you could have a hotel or a truck stop or anything else there that would be approved because it is commercial property. Certainly residential, I would think, in the things that you've posed would be more desirable classification. And certainly you'd have residential property adjoining residential, even though it'd be a higher density residential property. Correct. Does that kind of answer your question? I'm not trying to be evasive.
No, I totally get it. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, I suppose. It's yeah, just more the information. I mean, you answered the question. I mean, I guess we have to wait to see what goes on and what's going to happen.
I think you could talk to the zoning and codes office, and they could give you all the information that they have on it so far, okay, and what is being presented to planning as it is. Certainly no one's trying to hide anything from anyone. That's, no, for sure, you know, and there will be a public hearing on this issue if it passes first reading tonight. And that's more where we get into the specifics of request and have you thought of this and that. Right now, it's more to the issue of, is the zoning proper for that piece of property?
I understand now. I
okay.
Understand. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have Mr. Carol Carmen signed in to speak to this one too. Is that correct, Carol?
Yes, I'm here on behalf of the church, and we've owned that property for about 25 years. And a developer has come to us, and I believe has proposed a very reasonable, how shall I say, beautiful potential for entrance coming into our county from the west. And I think it will be a highlight there. There'll be screening. There'll be a lot of shrubbery. Matter of fact, I think there was a handout of the proposed development, and also the request for rezone is akin to what was done across the road in a little bit different context, because y'all are going to get to see the whole thing when it's presented for planning. But we have left the front of this as C2. We're only asking for a portion of this 5.7 acres approximately, and there's 4.7 acres we'd like to rezone to R3 for this development, but there'll be commercial development along the front for where all the good frontage is, the main frontage right there, which would be good for commercial. It's going to still be maintained.
Any questions of Mr. Carmen, commissioners? Okay. Thank you. Typically, we try to reserve main thoroughfares as commercial property. Many times it starts out leaving it C2. Sometimes we'll go back and add it into the development. That has happened, or go vice versa. But this is a planned development of townhomes and, but leaving the front at present for commercial development if needed. Mr. Ford? Have a motion to approve by Mr. Ford, second by Mr. Harsh. Any further questions, comments on this, commissioners? Thank you, Mr. Carmen. Appreciate it. Okay, we do have a motion and a second. I see no other discussion. Please record your vote. All votes in. Anyone wish to change their vote? Please record the vote.
17 yes, 1 no.
It is approved, 17 yes, 1 no. Next is ordinance 241, 2020, I'm sorry, 242, 2022-12. This is a rezoning request from taking a portion or a partial from R2 to R3. This is located on Morrison Street, and it is one tract of land identified as map 19, parcel 11. It's approximately 1/3 of an acre. And for y'all that are familiar or you want better landmarks, it's near the intersection of Green Top and Morrison, directly south of where the water tank, the city water tank, is located on Morrison Street. I do have 2 people signed in to speak. If you still wish to speak, Mr. Claiborne, Johnny Claiborne, and Mr. Bobby Joe Lewis. Okay. Johnny, you're recognized. Just come up to that mic right there, please, sir.
Yeah, it come to my attention that up on Morrison, he was talking about the White Woods a while ago. It's a water tank on the north side. It's a vacant lot there. And to my attention, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Powell, Robert Powell want to put a duplex up there, but we're against it. We got a few here, but I don't think you need a duplex there because you'd be renting people's front door and stuff going on, and we don't think you need a duplex there. But because it's a quiet place up there now. We had it pretty rough up at one time, but now we got it quieted down, and people be coming in all time of the night. And I live right across the street from it, and I hear all the noise coming in. And my neighbors, they live right in the area too. So we don't think it need to be now up there on that vacant lot and right beside the water tank. There's too much going on now, and they could be up there shoot through your house. You know, people coming in, you know what I'm talking about, coming out of town and doing all kind of stuff. So we don't think it needed up there. We don't approve it, and that's what I'm thinking about. 'Cause we got a lot of kids up there, small kids, and they come out and play in the yard and stuff. We just don't need it. It's just dangerous enough in these towns, and Horsham getting away. It's pretty dangerous at times. So we don't really need it, and we can get out. I mean, if you can get another place, we really would appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Claiborne.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Bobby Joe, Mr. Lewis. He left. Okay. All right. I would remind the commission and everyone, currently it is zoned R2. Duplex is allowed in R2. They can build a duplex tomorrow if they want to build a duplex. The R3 would allow more than that if the lot's big enough, but in this case, the lot's not big enough. The only thing you're really accomplishing by taking it to R3 is the setbacks, giving them a little bit more room in the center of the lot to center a dwelling. So that basically is the only thing this zoning accomplishes, but it is the request of the petitioner that owns the property. It has been recommended by Planning Commission. Am I correct in that, Ms. Baker? Yes, thank you. And so that's what this is doing. It's changing it from R2 to 3, which is still residential. It's not commercial. And it more or less affects the setbacks, the side setbacks. Any questions? Mr. Clarity? Have a motion to approve by Commissioner Clarity. Do I have a second by Mr. Ford? Any further discussion? Okay. Record your votes, please. Okay. All votes. Believe all votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote? Please record the votes.
16 yes, 1 abstain, 1 no.
Mr. Whitaker, you abstain. Would you like to abstain for cause?
Yes, Commissioner Jewett. I actually abstain because I'm just concerned because this is just a public hearing. If there's any other, if there's more like Mr. John there, then I'd like time to hear that concern as well.
There will be a public hearing on it at our next meeting.
Yeah.
And that's, like I say, that's where we can get into more of the particulars, but
Okay.
The property will be posted. There will be notices of the public hearing put in the newspaper so that everyone has an opportunity to know exactly what's happening and have the opportunity to come and speak at that public hearing.
Okay, thanks, sir.
So just because we pass it tonight, no, it's not necessarily a done deal. It was 17 to 1 abstention. It is
16, 1 and 1.
Oh, 1 no, 1 no, 16 yes, and 1 abstention for cause. It does carry. That everybody on our list, I think. Yeah. Okay. We'll move into our public hearing on Ordinance 237, 2022-07. This was a rezoning of some property from A1 to R1. Property lies between Highway 25 and Old 25. We'd opened the public hearing. Is there anyone like to speak to this? Anyone like to speak to this rezoning? Do I have anyone that would like to speak to this rezoning or this issue? Ms. Baker? Have a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second? Mr. Gregory gets a second. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it is done. Now we'll take up the second reading of Ordinance 237, 2022-07, rezoning of this piece of property from A1 to R1. What's the will of the body? Motion to approve by Mr. Ferguson, second by Mr. Harsh. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, please vote. All votes in. Anyone wish to change their vote? Okay, please record the votes.
18 yes, 0 no.
18 yes, 0 no. It is approved on second reading. Next, we'll get into our budget ordinances for tonight, I believe. What? I'm sorry, we did remove that. I meant budget amendments. I said ordinances, I meant amendments. Budget amendments, item E. First is 2022-101-40R. This is the expenditure for the courthouse HVA system. That's a great idea. Let's see here. Get to it here. Where's it at? Lost his last year's Easter egg. There I am. Somebody found me. 101 40R HVAC ARPA funds. This is using the ARPA funds to fund the HVA system for the courthouse as bid. This is in the amount of $803,957. Any questions on this one? Mr. Harsh. Have a motion to approve this. And Mr. Taylor has a second. Any further discussion? Okay. All right. All in favor, please record your vote. All votes in. Please record the vote.
16 yes, 2 no.
You have 16 yes, 2 no. It is approved. Next is 101-41 FB. This is basically a cleanup where we have to move at the end of the year. We're trying to get as much a head jump on that, not wait till the last minute and have so many of them. These are ones that we know that we're thinking that we're going to have a little additional funds. This is coming out of fund balance, $9,198 total, and credit the various different line item categories that you see there. Most all of this is pretty much accounting. Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones has a motion to approve. Ms. Atwood makes a second. Okay. We will need to do this by electronic vote. So tired. Please record your vote. All votes in, please record the vote.
18 yes, 0 no.
18 yes, 0 no. It is approved. Next is in the 111 Urban Services Fund, 2022-11105. This was, we raised that. You should have an amended, that's one that they have an amended amount on. Previously, it was 360 and this is 960. 2022-111. Funneling some money from interest on notes and workers' comp into other social recreational. Any questions on it? Pretty self-explanatory, I think. Ms. Baker? Have a motion to approve by Ms. Baker, second by Mr. Burton. Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, please record your vote. All votes in, please record the vote.
18 yes, 0 no.
18 yes, 0 no. It is approved. Next, we have a request to use American Rescue Plan funds for the Park and Recreation grant match on the ball field lights and poles. You explain it, how the breakdown goes in there, please? Because it's coming from several different funds.
Okay, I'm going to try my best to explain this. This came from Parks and Rec Committee. They wanted to go ahead and do the $600,000 match. Since we already had appropriated some funding to that grant, we are requesting $477,000 from the ARPA funding, and that will go into 101. And then the second part of this is also from Parks and Rec Committee for the lights and poles at the ball fields. That will go into Fund 111 in the amount of $17,355. The total amount we are requesting for ARPA approval is $494,355.
This is a twofold resolution. This gets the ball field lights and poles, and also using part of our ARPA funds for the to get a matching TDEC grant. We're going to apply for $600,000. They have pretty much assured us we'd get at least 500, but that we could ask for more. So Parks and Rec approved 6. Is that correct? I have a motion to approve by Mr. Gregory. Have a second by Ms. Atwood. Any further questions on this one? Everybody understand what we're doing? Okay. Record your vote. All votes in. Record the vote, please, ma'am.
18 yes, 0 no.
$18 yes, 0 no's. It is approved. I have one notary. Oh, there it is. Tamara Gully at TCAP. Is that the only one you had, Miss Rita? That's the only one. Ms. Atwood makes a motion to approve. Mr. Clarity gets a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor of this notary, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Say no. Okay. Is there any other business to come before the commission tonight? Mayor, did you have? Yes, sir.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. There was a budget amendment 2022-111-06 that I think that was allocating the ARPA funds that are going into the 111. We just approved that this would be showing the allocation in that 111. I believe that needs to be approved also.
I believe we did them as one motion. Was the motion was to approve both?
Was it done as one? All right.
Can we not do that?
I'm just, if that's what the motion was, that's fine. It just, I didn't hear it, and I don't think Commissioner Buckmaster heard that either, so we were just checking to make sure.
Well, I mean, we explained it that it was the part that was going to the Parks and Recreation grant and the ball field lights, and this was just, is there funding also coming out? There's some that's already coming out of 111 on this? Or was this adding this all into that?
So this would add to the 111 what we've already appropriated. And then the amount for the 101 that is in the budget being proposed. So the 17,000 is amending this year's budget. Honestly, I'm lost on if we need to approve this separately or not.
I think when Amy explained it, she explained it that the two were added together in the amount. That was my understanding of what we were doing. Ms. Baker, I believe, did Ms. Atwood made the motion? Okay. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. It's just, if that's what the motion was, that's fine. I didn't hear that part, so I apologize.
That's okay. We want to get everything right. We don't want to have to revisit it later. Mr. Burton, did you want to be recognized?
I was just going to make a motion to approve it if it's
not all taken care of.
Come to the part of our agenda for public comments. Is there any further public comments tonight? Seeing none, I would interject the motion to adjourn. Mr. Walsh.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, sir. Second, Mr. Clarity gets a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Just sat here the rest of the night. Wasn't you glad that it was nice and cool tonight? Thank you, Lord. That's all I can say is thank you, Lord.